And then we have shareholder capitalism, which does not work. And so we must have stakeholder capitalism. Oh, this is great. Now, they've released a little chart yesterday because they say what I'm saying is completely wrong. And what I'm saying is this is an oligarchy. That's all this is. This is for the oligarchs. You are going to be run by the people, well, not by the people's representatives. I mean, we have a House of Representatives, right, Stu? Don't we? Right.
Right, representing our needs.
Representing our needs. They don't have freezer full of ice cream in freezers that most people can't afford. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
And multiple freezers in the same kitchen.
Right. They are just like you, and they represent you, okay? So it would never happen in America where the people who get power become suddenly very, very rich and even more powerful. And then they start making new laws and dismissing laws for their friends, for the businesses that are helping them. Like, for instance, we would never have social media here going around the Constitution and doing things that constitutionally the government should say, hey, hold on, you can't limit speech. You can't just deperson people. You'd think those representatives, well, I know in our country, those representatives would represent the people, right?
I'm sure they would.
Okay. So there are types of capitalism. Okay. This is from the World Economic Forum. Types of capitalism. State capitalism. That's where the government is the key stakeholder. Government steers the economy and can intervene where necessary.
It's China's model, right? Russia's model, in theory.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, state capitalism. Business interests are subsidiary to state interests. Okay, so if the state says we're going to do something, the businesses have to do it. That's state capitalism. Now, what we have is shareholder capitalism, where the key stakeholders are the company's shareholders. You buy into the company. The social responsibility of that business is just to increase its profits. Short-term profit maximization is the highest good. And who really touted this? Milton Friedman.
Oh, jeez, I hate him.
Now, here's the new one. Unlike anything else that this is completely new. Stakeholder capitalism. Who are the key stakeholders? All stakeholders matter equally. Oh, wow, that's really good.
That sounds great.
Okay, so everybody matters, all right? Key characteristic. Society's goal is to increase the well-being of people and the planet. So the implication for the companies, focus on long-term value creation and ESG measures. Oh, wow. This sounds really great. I like that. All stakeholders matter equally. Okay, so now let's get into who defines stakeholders. Yesterday I said, this is the governments of the world coming together and working with big businesses. The governments get power. The big businesses, they get money. And you lose. Peter Van Ham. Hi, it's me, Peter Van Ham from the World Economic Forum. Here's my friend, Klaus Schwab. And I'm Peter.
Wait, what accent is this exactly? What could you describe?
I don't know exactly. Just making it up as I go.
Okay.
Peter Schwab. Peter Van Ham. So,
I don't know.
I'm sorry,
You're making
Peter.
me like him more. I don't think I'm supposed to like this guy, and you're making me like him with his accent.
And over here, we have beautiful paintings.
He seems delightful.
He does, doesn't he? Have some Venus all wrapped up in little blankets. So, Peter tweeted. Now, he's the co-author of Stakeholder Capitalism, a global economy that works for progress, people, and planet. Klaus Schwab and Peter Van Ham. So he writes, we address the false notion that any global elites, quote, the corporations and world leaders, Glenn Beck talks about should rule this system. Instead, we plead for subsidiary, meaning that decisions are made at the most granular level. Local stakeholders should decide. Oh, that's why my mayor of my little town is in Davos.
Wait, Glenn, there's no mayors of little towns in Davos.
I was trying to get a hold of the city council just the other day, and they were all like, we're at Davos, working on stakeholder capitalism.
Really?
Yeah, okay.
So this is, because it's so local, it's going to take power away from centralized government?
Right. All of the prime ministers and all the big corporations are there, and my city council member, they are lecturing them right now on the ski slopes. Yeah.
Wow.
With the little wieners in the blankets.
I don't know who this is, but I love this guy.
Peter says, this is not propaganda, as Glenn Beck asserts. So this guy's at the World Economic Forum in Davos with the wieners in the blankets, and he's texting this to me. Okay, this is not propaganda, as Glenn Beck asserts. Subsidiary and stakeholder capitalism are approximated in Western European countries like Scandinavia, Benelux. I've never even heard of Benelux. And Germany. Oh. Business and governments consult with one another on wages and social security, etc. And governments, now listen to this. This is how they get to you. Because you're a stakeholder in this. You're a stakeholder. And governments, made up of representatives of the people, regulate the markets, in part to avoid the market concentration and formation of any unlawful oligopoly.
And by the way, Glenn, just to reiterate how local this is, Benelux is the combination of three nations, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. But it's so local. They care so much about the local control here. They've only just, brought those three nations and just count them as one thing.
I bet that was driven by the people. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it was.
When populists on the right and left claim that they at least agree they dislike global elites, they miss a much larger fundamental disagreement that they have over the kind of economic and political system that's needed to avoid the oligarchy they both fear. The system we propose is one of stakeholder capitalism. It's capitalism as it recognizes the benefits of private enterprise, competition, and market forces. But it's a model of consultation with the people, meaning the governments, because we're all represented, right? Don't you feel like our government listens and responds to you, the little people? I know I do. And it's a model of consultation. And I love this. And this is really important. It's a model of consultation with the people and the planet. Hang on. Quiet. I'm consulting with the planet right now. Shut up. Really? Oh, I mean, you're positive. I don't want to make a mistake on this one. All right. Stu, the planet said you have to throw yourself into a volcano.
Really?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
So I'm just taking consultation and listening to the planet. That's what I'm doing. So, and I believe if I go to the representatives in Washington, I believe I could convince a lot of them that you should throw yourself into a volcano if you're tied to me.
Yes.
If you're tied directly to me. So, Peter, thank you so much, darling, for writing in. That's wonderful. But we don't like it. We don't like it. It's, I don't know. I like my mayor, and maybe the local boss of the local restaurant. I'm just saying. Although your wieners in a blanket are wonderful. Let me go over.
You can't possibly believe that we should try, let's say, kind of an experiment of people governing themselves. You wouldn't think that would be appropriate, that people should make decisions based on their own self-interest.
No, they don't know. They're not smart enough. They're not smart enough. What we need are these world leaders. Right. And quite honestly, yesterday, I'm going to give you this quote. Yesterday at the World Economic Forum in Davos, They said that, let me see here. In fact, I have the audio. Instead of reading it, let me give you the audio. It is Benioff. Yes, Mark Benioff, CEO of, people that do stuff for you.com. Here's what he said at Davos yesterday.
CEOs around the world need to realize they must manage for all stakeholders, not just shareholders. And there has been a mantra for too long that the business of business is business. But today, the business about business is improving the state of the world. And this is more important than ever. We realize that. And so thank you, Klaus, for that. And we don't have to look any farther to that mantra than 2020 itself, the year of the pandemic. In the pandemic, it was CEOs in many, many cases all over the world who were the heroes. They are the ones who stepped forward with their financial resources, their corporate resources, their employees, their factories, and pivoted rapidly.
Yes.
Not for profit, but to save the world.
Right. That is so true. Finally, somebody's saying it. The CEOs are the heroes. Amen. Amen to that. Now, the Secretary General of the OECD said, we don't want to return to normal. I mean, don't you feel that way? We don't want to return to normal. We don't want COVID to end and for us to return to some form of status quo, because the status quo caused this, brought us here to our knees. Those wishing to return to normal must inherently wish for disease and destruction to return, and must secretly wish for death in the future. Oh, man. Prime Minister of Spain said, let's not delude ourselves. There can be no social justice without tax justice. Now, there's a guy speaking for all of us, huh? It's time to go one step further. It's not enough to distribute income more fairly through taxation, but take serious steps to ensure equal distribution of wealth to all people, all races, and all nations. Prime Minister of Spain yesterday. Man, let me tell you something. This is an I was wrong. Peter, thank you. This is absolutely an organization of we the people.